In a Russian village, spring reeks of rotting mud, because instead of roads there are dirt patches that swallow people up to their nose. When the thaw spreads clay all over the land, even a tractor cannot make it through. Wheels sink, and people walk with bags strapped to their backs. No one plans for asphalt because local councils have empty accounts or make shady deals with local companies, leaving residents knee-deep in mud. Where there were once traces of civilization, today only ruts remain, filled with brown water that festers and stinks like an open sewage ditch. Everything that was once built cracks from the frost, because the soil freezes and thaws with such force that it blasts concrete apart like dynamite in an old dam. Even if asphalt was once laid here, today it lies in fragments, crushed like old glass, impossible to drive or walk on. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, villages were cut off from everything. The kolkhozes collapsed, and with them all local life, services, shops, and jobs. In a single moment, everything ended. Schools were shut down, doctors left, and buses stopped running, as if time itself had frozen. Children now study in other towns, if at all, because what remains are only abandoned classrooms with broken windows and mold on the walls. Older people suffer in silence because the health center was closed 10 years ago, and the nearest doctor is 30 kilometers away. Shops went bankrupt because no one had money to buy anything. Only old kiosks remain, selling stale bread and cheap alcohol from suspicious sources. The entire state budget flows to Moscow and St. Petersburg, while thousands of villages rot, sinking into ruin. The authorities do not invest in the provinces because there is no return, and residents have no strength to shout. They have been trained into silence. Buildings fall apart like cardboard blocks, roofs leak, windows are boarded up, and walls stand only thanks to the freezing air. Residents have no sewage system, cesspools overflow after rain, and drinking water is drawn from wells that still remember Brezhnev's times. A gas pipeline runs 100 meters from the village, but no one has the money to connect to it, so people burn wood, coal, or anything they can find. People live off what they grow: potatoes, carrots, a bit of poultry, and a village pig, which becomes a currency of survival. Pensions are pennies, enough for medicine or bread, but not both, so one chooses life or pain. In the yard, chaos rules. Mud mixes with manure, trash, and animal feed leftovers, and the stench spreads everywhere. Rainwater has nowhere to flow. There are no gutters or drains, so it floods everything, leaving stains and sludge that do not disappear even after a week of drought. Rubber boots are like a suit here, a daily necessity without which you cannot leave the house, even if only going to the outhouse behind the shed. There is no communal hygiene, no garbage bins, sewage, snow removal, or waste collection, so everything piles up in the yards. When someone falls ill, the village knows it may be their last winter, because the ambulance will not come, and the doctor will not even pick up the phone. Streetlights have not worked for years. The night is absolute darkness, cut only by the glow of the moon reflecting in puddles. Fences are built from warped sheet metal, old asbestos boards, and planks found by railway tracks, not for aesthetics, but simply to keep the dogs from running away. Roofs are made from scraps of metal, often fastened with salvaged nails that rust faster than they can survive another winter. Barns look as if they will collapse at the first gust of wind, set on bricks without foundations, propped up with planks like orthopedic crutches. This makeshift construction is not a choice, but a necessity. Lack of money and total helplessness force people into eternal as long as it works. The climate finishes what poverty could not. Winters are long, spring lasts 2 weeks, and then comes rain that does not stop for a month. Buildings soak up water like sponges, walls crack, foundations sink into the mud, and roofs leak like sieves. The soil cannot take it. It turns into dark slush that after a few days of drought hardens into a crust and cracks like the skin of an old man. Regular flooding is not a disaster, it is normality. No one is surprised when water pours into basements and destroys the last potatoes for winter. Day after day, people fight against the elements, carrying water out in buckets, placing bricks under beds, sealing windows with plastic sheets, and praying for the sun. Here no one plans for tomorrow. Life is lived day by day just to reach spring, just to survive winter, just to last until the next pension payment. In the yard stand barrels of rainwater. In the corner ferments homemade vodka. And in the garden half-eaten beets rot. Everything at the edge of survival. Repairs are temporary. Duct tape on pipes, wires on fences, string as a door handle, and a plastic bag as a window pane. The land gives little, harvests are poor, the weather capricious, and anyone who wants to earn more sells vodka or eggs to neighbors. The young do not want to live like this. They flee to the cities, leaving behind parents, empty houses, and animals with no one left to feed them. Villages empty out year after year. No children, no schools, not even anyone to repair the roads or clear the snow from the roadside. Houses stand abandoned, windows shattered, roofs caved in, walls overgrown with moss. No one renovates them, because no one will ever return. Sometimes someone comes back only to lock the door of what was once a home. Now, just scenery for a film about the end of the world. The old remain, sick, tired, warming themselves alone by the stove, praying the power does not go out and that the chickens survive the frost. No one comes, no one asks, no one promises. Silence seeps in like cold through cracks in the door, and the mud pulls deeper and deeper. The village does not die with a bang, but in silence, without protests, without cameras, without hope, like a forgotten grave in the forest that no one knows about. The old have no strength to fight, and the young have no reason to return. These are no longer homes, only ruins of bricks and memories. Time passes, but here it has stopped. Life has not changed in decades, only the people do, because some leave and no new ones come. Once these villages were alive with children's laughter, work in the fields, and the smell of bread. Today, there is only smoke from chimneys and silence that hurts. The Russian village is not a romantic picture from a pastoral fairy tale. It is a brutal reality that repels, terrifies, and leaves no illusions. It is a muddy wasteland that does not need war to look like a catastrophe. Here, war is loneliness, poverty, and the slow rotting of everything.